Hello, let's learn a little bit about Hasura Event Triggers and the new nhost custom API and how the services can be used together. So let's do a real example here. We're gonna register a user, or let's do like this. We're gonna hook up our backend with Stripe. So every time we get a new user, we will create a customer in Stripe. So this is a pretty common use case. Every time you get a new user to your application, you want to create a corresponding customer in Stripe, and you want to connect the user with a customer in Stripe. So we're going to do just that. We're going to use Hasura Event Triggers. So just to give you a high-level overview of what we're going to do. So we're going to register the user. Obviously, the user is going to be inserted in the users table. And we're going to have a Hasura event trigger that will trigger every time a user gets inserted. And the event trigger will send a webhook to the custom API. And the custom API will create the Stripe customer and update the user in Hasura. So I've set up a few things there. So in Stripe, I have two companies, test company development and test company production. For you probably only have one company, but we will have two different keys. So we have one development key and one production key. For you, that's going to be in the same company, but I haven't set, I don't have a production key for the test companies because I needed another company to do that. So I just have development and production. And it's, yeah, I don't have any customers here at the moment. So what I'm going to start by doing is create like a demo application here in like a demo project on Hasura. And that's going to take a few seconds. And what I'm going to do in the meantime here is go to API keys for the dev company. So you can see we're in test data. So I'm going to reveal this. This is a key. This is a secret key I can use to create customers in Stripe. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to settings and environment variables, and we're going to add a new environment variable. And you see here we have two values we can fill in. So I'm just going to call it Stripe key. And this is going to be my development variable, and I'm going to have another one in production. So for you probably click this here. You will click here and then copy the production secret key, but I will use this company instead, just to show you that it's two different Stripe things for the moment. So we have the Stripe key environment variable. We have a development and production variable. That's going to be important because we're going to do local development. We're going to make sure it works locally, and then we can push everything to production, and then things are going to work in production with a Stripe key for production. So the next thing we're going to do is I have a local repository here with my application that I'm going to use for this project. It's just a regular React app, and I'm going to do nhost init, and I'm going to select the demo project. This will make sure that I can do local development to make sure everything works locally, and then I can, deploy those changes to production. So the initialization is done. Now I'm going to do nhost dev to start all services locally, like the database and Hasura and the custom API, everything that we need. In the meantime, I'm going to split here and open up the code editor. So as you can see, it's a React app. I haven't done anything with the React app. We're not going to use it. I'm just going to show you that this is usually how it looks like when you have this set up. So we have a nhost folder here with some configuration, metadata, migrations, and C data. This is for your database and Hasura. And in environment and the development in this file, we have the Stripe key, and this is the development Stripe key that we insert here. So when we did nhost init, we also pulled this environment variable from the development, for the dev value. So let's see if things are about to start here. All right, so a local NOS backend is running. You can see also it automatically opened the Hasura console for us at localhost. This is so we can make local changes and track all migrations. Basically, if we create a table, that table is going to be tracked in our repository. So when we deploy it, that new table is going to be deployed into production. So I'm going to show you how that works right now. So let's see. Let's do a test table here. I'm just going to call it test, and maybe have an ID and a name. And I'm going to add that table. So, and then, I'm going to just commit changes here. Nhost init plus added test table. You can see here migrations, created table, public test. So Hasura created these migrations automatically for us. So we'll push those migrations, this update that we did. And nothing really happened now. We just pushed them to GitHub. But of course, we want to get these changes deployed, right? When we push changes to GitHub, they should be deployed. So I'm going to go into Git integrations, and I have already installed GitHub for my private account here, and I'm going to select nhost trigger API. So it's the same repository that I'm using here. So I'm going to install that one, and right away, what happens now is Hasura will pull down the repository and apply migrations and metadata, and then also deploy the API. So you can see migrations and metadata are already applied. So we can see if we go to our production Hasura now. We don't need that. We can see that our test table is in production. So it's very easy now to make local changes, commit, push them to GitHub. They will get automatically deployed to nhost. So that's number one. Next thing, I'm going to close the repository or the instance here. Next thing we're going to test here is, I'm going to actually remove this table. We don't need it. And so I'm going to create a new table, posts. Let's call it ID and title. And I'm going to show you a little bit how the event triggers work. And I'm going to use this table for that. So we have this posts table. And what I want to do now is every time someone insert a post, I want that to be shown on Discord, for example. So it's a use case so we can see how everything fits together here. So what I'm going to do is go to events, and I'm going to create a new event, and I'm going to say post insert Discord announce, let's say. So now I'm selecting that for on posts, this table, if there is any insert, I'm going to send a webhook payload to this webhook. So, and I have a special URL that I'm going to use here, and that is nhost custom API endpoint, and I'm wrapping them around these curly bracket braces, I think they are called. And then I'm going to do /. Now I'm going to just specify anything, and we can say, I don't know, post Discord, let's say. And I'm going to create this event trigger. We can see here we don't have any pending events, and no events has been triggered yet because no post was inserted. So let's insert the post. Insert test title, let's say. Save. Let's go back to our events and let's see. So now we have one invocation. So we can see Hasura tried to basically an event triggered and tried to send this event to the web hook, but it failed. You can see it failed, and it's not strange because we got a 404. We haven't created this endpoint yet. There is no serverless function that receives this one. So we're going to do that now. And I'm just going to do, let's see, I'm going to split here and I'm going to do, you can do this too. So docker logs f nhost API. That will bring up the logs for your custom API locally. So you can see here, this is actually the webhook that was triggered, that failed. So the 404 one. And we're gonna capture that one now. So what we do is we create an API folder, and inside the API folder we create a new file. We call it whatever we want to call it. That's going to result to an endpoint. So it's going to be post discord. Oops. New file post discord.js. And now I'm just going to look up, I'm just going to copy the example function here from here. And go back, paste, and save it. You can see, let's go back here. So we saved the file, and now the server is restarting. And we can now push, or we can now receive events here. And I can do something like console log, let's see here if I remember. JSON stringify request body null 2. Yeah, this is, we can just do something like res send okay. So whatever comes in will just return okay. Server is restarted. I'm going back now to the failed trigger. I can do two things. Either I can redeliver this one, or I can insert a new post, and that will create a new trigger. Doesn't matter. I will just redeliver this one because it's easier to just click here. So you can see this is a request that was being made from Hasura to the endpoint. So we can see payload. So we'll get event, and we'll get data here, and you can see the new data. This is actually the new data that was inserted. And I think that's the most important thing here. And we can see that our custom API returned 200, okay. And if we look at the logs here, we can see the same payload here. Just to reiterate there, we console log the request body. So we can see event, data, new, right? So it's the same. And then we're just returning 200, that's fine. So now we can capture inserted data and do whatever we like with it here. And we're gonna send this to Discord. So I have some code here that I found that I'm gonna take some inspiration from. And use this one. So that's cool. And then we need a const URL. So we need a URL here. And then I think we will, let me save this one. Username we don't need. New blog post. Well, that's pretty much what we're doing. Like we need to change this one. And I'm just gonna grab so in payload, we're going to go to event data new to get the post. So const post equals request body event data new. Const. And then let's do, just going to reload. Bin doesn't want to do what I want to. So post, yeah, it's title, right? And we don't have a URL here, so we're just going to skip that one. And now we need what's going on? we need a URL that we're going to use, and I think I can do something like integrations, create webhook. We can call it nhost demo. We're posting to test, copy URL, save. Okay, so we'll receive the post, and then we'll send this webhook to Discord to display the post's title. So let's see what happens now if we redeliver this. You can see the previous one we just returned 200. Now we didn't do anything. We can redeliver this one once again, and you can see new blog. Yeah. So it got to this channel. Why did it go to this channel? Doesn't matter. Or it actually does matter. I want to know why. This is not really part of the. Yeah. So wait. Okay. Did I use this one? December? Yeah, I probably did. So test. Let's just do it. I want to. Pretty sure I named it demo. Maybe I didn't change it. Let's go. I think it's the same URL. So let's just try to insert a new post here. My new post. Save. And yeah, now it's showing up in the right channel, and it's called nhost demo. Yeah. So and you can see here my new post. So this was what I inserted here, and we can see if I inserted something new. I don't know. Test 1, 2, 3. You can see Hasura will trigger an event every time we insert a post. It will send this event to our custom API. Our custom API will receive the event, and we can do whatever we want. We just decided to trigger a new webhook to Discord. But we could really do anything here. We could send some emails, we could crunch some data, and what we're going to do next, we could also do, which is create a new customer at Stripe and sort of connect everything. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And I actually have some code prepared for this because it's quite a lot of code. But before we dive into this code, let's create the event trigger. So we can call it insert user create Stripe customer. So now we want to select the users table. On every insert, we want to send a webhook to this nhost custom API endpoint /customers/add Stripe customer. Customers/add Stripe customer. Create event trigger. So now every time we create a new customer here, let's look what happens. So here's the request handler. So the first thing we're doing is we're creating a GraphQL client. And you can see here we're using the nhost Hasura endpoint and the nhost Hasura admin secret. That is, so we will interact directly with our Hasura here because we receive the event from Hasura, but we will actually, you can see here, we're going to get the user information. So we want more information than what we get. So you can see we're getting user information and prepare the query up here. So you can see we want to have ID, display name, Stripe customer ID, and also account because we want the email of the customer. And so you can see we're getting, we're selecting by just the user ID that was inserted. So you can see I'm receiving the user that was inserted here with the request body event data new. This is the user that was just inserted. And I will use this ID to retrieve even more information from the user with the account email. And I'm also, this is not really important, but yeah, so let's see here. So if there is no user, I'm just going to throw an error. If the user already have a Stripe customer ID, I'm just going to say we don't need to do anything here because the user already have a Stripe customer ID. If the user doesn't have a Stripe customer ID, I'm just going to go ahead and create a user with the name of user display name and email user account email. And this was why I wanted to receive some extra information here. And then the user is, the customer is created. Then I want to insert back to Hasura, the Stripe customer ID. So I'm going to grab the customer ID and update the user in the database. So let's see here. I need to do something here, I remember. So since we're updating Stripe customer ID, we need to actually create that on the user. So I'm going to do that. So adding Stripe customer ID. That's going to be a text, and it's going to be nullable because it's going to be null the first seconds before the customer is created in Stripe. So I'm adding that one. Let's see now. Yeah, I'm going to show you one more thing here. The very top line here, you can see I'm initiating Stripe with process env Stripe key. And I just want to reiterate on this one because the environment variable Stripe key comes from this file, Stripe key. And you remember we used the development Stripe key here. And when we deploy to production, we're going to, the production development Stripe key is going to be used. And that's going to be taken care of us under the hood. So it's important that we set the correct production and development value here. So as you remember, we set the development value here and production value here. So let's see now. So we have set up the, I think we've set up everything now, so we can go ahead and create the user. And I'm just going to go to Stripe to customer. Let's go to development. And right now we don't have any customers. So let's create a user. And always when you create users, you should always go through the registration API or the, so you shouldn't create the user right here because there's some stuff happening under the hood so you should really go here to, and it's localhost. I think it's, so you can see auth and storage is localhost 9000. And then it's auth/register. And maybe you have your React app, your registration form, then you can use that one. Just update the base URL for authentication to this one. So here it's a post, and we need to set some raw JSON and specify email and password. And I'm also going to set some user data here, user data, display name. And let's register this user. Okay, so status 200, no content, so everything worked good. And so we should be able to see the user here. That's perfect. We can already see that it got a Stripe customer ID here. But let's not get too much ahead of ourselves. So we're going to go into the insert create Stripe customer invocation log. We can see it's green, it's good. And we can check in the logs here. We see there was a post request to customer add Stripe customer, 200 back. That means all our code ran perfectly. And yeah, the customer was created. So let's just go through what happened here. We got the user, and we got even more information from the user. And we created the Stripe customer with the information from the user. We're going to take a look at that just in a little bit. And then we updated the user with a Stripe customer ID from Stripe. So we connected the two. That's perfect. So let's see now on the customers. I'm going to reload this one. And you can see this is our customer. And this is the account details, name, account email, and you can add more information here. You can update that later as well. Really good. I think we're ready to deploy this. So just as before, we can just we made some changes locally. We can just push that to GitHub. What do we want to call this one? Create Stripe. Create Stripe customer on registration. Git push. Then I'm going to tab over back to my nhost project and just going to go to Git integration to see, so now it's being deployed. Migrations and metadata was deployed perfectly. The API takes usually 2 or 3 minutes. Just to confirm, we can go to our Hasura and open up the Hasura console for our production and go to data. We'll see, what do we want to see here? We can see for the user, for example, there's a Stripe customer ID here that we created locally, and both our event triggers are here as well. So the post, insert, Discord announce, and so it's a complete copy of our local environment, which is really good. And now, because we used the nhost custom API endpoint, now in production, this will point to our production custom API that's being deployed as we speak. Maybe it's already finished. Let's see. No, it's still deploying. So we're going to wait for that, and then we're going to create a customer and see that everything works in production as well. And in the meantime here, now we're going to switch to production. For you, probably what you want to do is just click this one, view live data. But I'm going to use this one. This is the Stripe key that I'm using in production. Still not deployed yet. 1 minute to go, so let's just wait a few more seconds. Okay, took it took 3 minutes to deploy the API this time, but it's deployed. And so now let's test everything. So now we're in production. So we'll have the the nhost app Hasura here, and we don't have anything here just yet. And in the production Stripe, we don't have any customers. So let's create a customer. Let's call it something else. No, at nhost.io. So the customer was created, and we can just see here. Go to Stripe. It's not working. Well, it is. It just took a second. So the user was added here, as you can see. For the first few seconds before the event trigger and everything was resolved, the Stripe customer ID was null. But as soon as everything was being taken care of, we got a Stripe customer ID here. So that tells us that the event was successful. And we can go in here and we'll see a nice green checkbox, and we can reload customers here in production, and we'll see no noise here. So I think everything works really well. The last thing I want to do here before we're finished is actually securing the API. We want, when the request is being made from Hasura to our custom API, we want to make sure that it's actually our Hasura instance that's sending the request to, so it's not someone else who's sending the request and trying to hack our backend. So we're going to go back to our local development here, and let's see now. So we have the local. So we're going to do a little trick here. So we're going to say we're going to tell Hasura that every time you send event trigger, you need to send a header, and we're going to call this header webhook secret. And this secret only Hasura and the customer API knows about. And it's a special header. So we're going to change here from value to environment variable. And the environment variable is called nhost webhook secret. And this secret is shared between Hasura and the customer API. So I'm going to save this one here. And I'm just going to show you, let's see. You know what? Let's do it on this one too. It's a little bit easier to test. Webhook secret, and it's a environment variable. It's called nhost webhook secret. So in the in this function here, we can just, let's see, if so we want to check if we want to check if request headers, yeah, I think it's headers, webhook secret. If it's not equal to process if this environment variable, nhost webhook secret, we're going to throw an error. Incorrect webhook secret, we're going to say. So this is our security here for this webhook, and let's just test it as well. So we can test it. We can start testing it by inserting something new here. Oops. Test 1, 2, insert, and yeah, it comes up in Discord. And if I try to do the same request without the header, let's see if it fails. So it's this URL slash, what was it? Slash post Discord. Yeah, you can see it's throwing an error saying incorrect webhook secret. So now that now this endpoint is secured, and we're just going to do I'm just going to copy the code here to this one. Webhook secret. Yep. So that looks good. And we tested everything locally. And you can see the changes we made. We added the 2 if statements here on the 2 functions, or the 2 endpoints in the custom API. And Hasura will automatically track that it's going to send the webhook secret together with these 2 requests. So secured endpoints. Let's say git push. Going back to the nhost console, and I'm just going to make sure that so the deployment here is going to be triggered. We already tested everything locally, so I'm just going to fast forward here a little bit until the API is finished, and then we're going to make sure it works in production as well. Oh my god, I just realized, forgot to light this nice star. Okay, so the API is deployed, and so let's test everything once again here in production. So authentication, add a user, test user at nhost.io, bam. And let's see. Yeah, it's green. It's nice. So in production, let's reload. Let's see if the new user is here. It is. So it seems like it works. And just to let's just test this as well. So inserting a post here. Test 1, 2, 3. And that works. And if we try to do the same request, so the URL is API, and the same thing here, / post create Discord. We get an error. So we secured our endpoints. We made sure that no one else but Hasura can send events to them. And I think we're done from here for today. So thank you very much for watching. Bye.